Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host, and today I have a very special guest that I've been trying to get in here for quite some time, and she's very special because she happens to be my wife of 16 years. This is Bernadette D'Orazio. Welcome, honey.
Thanks, Dave.
Glad you finally got here. She's running for Dona Ana County Treasurer. So, I know personally that she would be an excellent candidate for Dona Ana County Treasurer because of our personal interaction. But first I'm going to let her tell you about herself and her experience. So Bernadette, could you please tell us about your experience that would allow you to run for Dona Ana County Treasurer?
Thanks, Dave. Well, as Dave said, my name is Bernadette D'Orazio, and I'm the Republican candidate for the Dona Ana County Treasurer's position. I have over 30 years of financial experience in the banking, insurance, and mutual fund industries, and that includes budget control and reconciliation, contract negotiations, estimating, purchasing, managing staff and projects. And I've handled projects with clients in terms of specifications, designers, developing schedules and budgets, and working with outside suppliers and vendors and manufacturers to deliver projects on time and within budget. And I've worked at the Vanguard Group, which is a mutual fund company, and I retired from Bank of America as a vice president. And currently I'm Dave's treasurer for his campaign, which is Dave Gallus for NM Senate District 37. And my platforms consist of fiscal responsibility, economic growth for Dona Ana County, and the Treasurer's Treasures, a program to teach children about the basics of money.
That's very interesting. Just, folks, to give you a background, like I said, we've been married for 16 years. Bernadette is a no-bullshit person. She doesn't mess around when things have to get taken care of, especially financially. So, you know, I don't make a whole lot of money. I got a small pension from the police department, a small pension from the post office. I get a little Social Security, but I feel like a rich man because she knows how to handle money. So I trust her with my money, and you should trust her with yours as well. So she's also very good with ideas. Now, a lot of times it's not solicited, and the guys can relate to this. You're working on a car, you're trying to fix a problem, you're a backyard mechanic, so you think you know a little bit about mechanics, and Bernadette's leaning over my shoulder and telling me, well, why don't you try this? And I go, yeah, right, just back off. Darn if she doesn't come up with the right solution. So when my ego allows, I trust her implicitly. Well, when my ego allows, I trust her, and she's usually right on many, many subjects, but especially finances. So she's fearless in business. I've seen her interact with people. She calls people out when she knows something's wrong, especially me. So when she ever gets a job assigned, she gives it 110%. So she has my endorsement, obviously, and I've married her, so she's got my thumbs up. So Bernadette, tell me what you see as far as issues that could be resolved with you being the new treasurer that you see as problems in Dona Ana County.
Well, one of the concerns I have in reviewing the budget, and the treasurer does post a monthly, let's call it a financial report. So 30% of our cash and investments are in one national bank that has been cited by the SEC and has actually admitted wrongdoing and paid $3 billion in fines.
That would be Wells Fargo, I assume.
Well, you're saying that, but I'm not going to mention that.
All right, I'm saying
yeah, so the concern I have, I know it would take a lot of time and effort to redirect the funds that are currently with Wells Fargo, and I don't really know the relationship that the current treasurer has with Wells Fargo, but my concern is if we are, you know, I'm really all about integrity. And I think that the situation that happened with the fake accounts that were generated by that company, that is just fiscal irresponsibility, it's malfeasance, and in my opinion, that company shouldn't even be in business for what they did. So we have 30% of our cash and investments with that company, and I think we need to look at that as far as just one problem.
Well, you know, Wells Fargo is a national bank. I would think, shouldn't we invest in some of our own local businesses? Is there small banks that could do that?
Yes, and that was one of Eric's platforms in 2016, and he did a great job of spreading all that money around.
Okay.
So he really, you know, has expanded that. But my concern is that I think we should take that $30 million And plus, there's even additional money that is in Wells Fargo, and perhaps put that into several national banks as well as community banks and federal credit unions.
I hear a lot about investing in gold and silver. Now, I've done a lot of research on the Federal Reserve and realized that we are no longer on the gold and silver standard. So that might be something you might want to consider when you get in office. Now, I don't know how that works, but I think it'd be a good investment. Well,
there's an advisory council that the treasurer, as well as the county commissioners, that the treasurer runs ideas past. Okay. They are advisors, so it would really have to be something that's kind of like a group decision, although the treasurer makes the ultimate decision, right, because gold has the same fluctuation that the stock market does, because when the stock market's up, gold is down. When gold is up, the stock market's down. But what the current treasurer has, and I do agree with, is to have money market accounts and also certificates of deposit, because that preserves the principal. And then you just have a fluctuating interest rate. Sometimes you make out well, sometimes you don't. But at least your principal is preserved.
You don't lose any principal.
No. So that's what you have to, fiscal responsibility is you have to maintain the principal if you can.
Okay, but I would also say that over time, gold and silver, it always bounces back. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Mm-hmm. And like I said, folks, this is an idea person. So, and everything good that happens starts with an idea, and Bernadette's got a lot of them. So, okay, you mentioned a very interesting thing. It was the treasurer's treasure. Now, I know when I was a kid, there was a PSFS, Philadelphia Savings Fund Society, and all the kids in our Catholic school got little bank books. And we put maybe 5 cents in or whatever it was, but it taught us about how to save money. And I know compound interest in paying credit cards also works when it comes to investing and savings. So could you tell us a little bit about your idea with Treasurer's Treasure?
Well, many children get cash for either birthdays, celebrations, or the holidays. And it would be great if parents could take their children to either a local bank or a credit union and open up a savings account with them, regardless of their age. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have younger children, you might want to take 10% of that money and say, okay, this is yours to spend, so we're going to take this home with us, either put it in a container, a piggy bank, or whatever. But a teenager, you could take that 10% and then put it in their checking account and say, okay, this is money you can spend, and this is money you can save. So that you teach them the difference between saving and spending money. Mm-hmm. So also with kids, little children, you have to work in terms of maybe you can use cupcakes or oranges to teach them about money. But with teenagers, there are 2 local credit unions that have programs. For example, First Light has the Flight program, and that's FLIGHT. Something you might want to look into. Mm-hmm. And then White Sands Credit Union has several programs based on children's ages. They have something called Kangaroo Club for the really young kids, and then all the way up to teenagers' checking accounts, like I mentioned.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, I just read recently about having a high school course that you have to take a course in economics to understand about finances, investments, how much can be charged with a credit card, because I think our students get way out of line with credit cards. They don't realize if they're living off a credit card how much that can be. I just read somewhere where it said small banks can charge 136% interest. That sounds like a loan shark rate. Mm-hmm. The next thing you know, you get your leg broken if you don't pay off your bill. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. So are there some other ideas that you have about like you'd like to instill when you get into the office?
Well, one of the things, I don't know if I can have any effect on it, but as a result of the June special session, and probably also what happened with George Floyd, the legislature and the governor decided that every police officer, sheriff's deputy in the state of New Mexico should have a body camera. So to me, that was not budgeted. And so it just is like, you have to get this done. And I think our Dona Ana County Sheriff had to do that in less than 3 months. So I think what I had heard her say, she was on another program, that she spent $600,000 on this. And my concern is, isn't there something statewide? Like, couldn't we have looked at all the states, all the counties, municipalities to say, what would be the price if we got all of these video cameras from either several suppliers, but we made a major purchase on it? And I don't think that's the way things are done in the state, and I don't know if the New Mexico treasurer or the finance department for New Mexico would even account for anything like that, because I'm sure there's some counties that just do not have the money for this, and for them to go out and make a purchase of these body cams, they could have really gotten the collective lower price if the whole state purchased it. And also, my concern is, could we have gotten a better deal by leasing these body cams? Because our technology is going to change. Right now, the officers or sheriffs, deputy sheriffs, have to charge the video cameras. They have to turn them off and on. And my vision, if you will, is that someday, if we get 5G in Dona Ana County, which will happen eventually, that those cameras will be on all the time, and they will be charged by 5G, and they will be streamed into like a closed circuit room where people can watch what the officers are doing and what's happening to the officers. The other thing that concerns me is, and I don't know if I can do this either, but to get for all the departments a must-have and a nice-to-have list. And by that I mean, so here is Sheriff Kim, and she's being asked to get body cams for her deputy sheriffs, but some of her deputy sheriffs don't even have radios. So to me, that's a must-have.
Sure.
So we need to know what that stuff is, and to find out what the departments need and how much their budgets are. And again, some people would say I'm overstepping my boundaries by doing that, because I'm just supposed to take the taxes in, invest the money, and disperse it to wherever it's needed. But I think in these situations, we need a little bit more thought. And I don't know collectively if I can do that, because really every county is on their own.
Well, I heard Eric talking. You did a radio interview with Eric, I believe, and he did not want to overstep his bounds by making suggestions, not demands, but suggestions. But if a person has a good idea, who cares where it comes from? If it's a good idea, try it out. There's millions of ideas out there. Everybody should have input. And that's where it's so important, where county commission meetings, people get to speak up. And I've been to a lot of county commission meetings, city council meetings, and people do speak up, but it just doesn't seem like the legislators seem to listen to what the group that is there at the time says. So I could go on about county commission meetings and stuff like that, where they should be in the afternoon and evening, so working people can go to these and have input. But no, I think it's an excellent idea to have that input and bring up the ideas that you do have. And I would say this sounds like, with the George Floyd, his death was sad, and it still hasn't come to fruition what really happened, with all the drugs that was in his system. But people work off of emotion. Now, when you're dealing with money, and when you're dealing with anything, it shouldn't work off of emotion, because you're never going to get the right answer. So the sheriff was told that she had to buy these body cameras. That's it. So we overspent our budget there, I'm sure.
Well, the thing is, it's just that it's one thing to say, this is something that we want to include in our budget for next year.
Okay.
Then people would have time, maybe not that much time, but they would be able to look into the cost that I was saying, see if there was any kind of a group purchase we could make throughout the state, look into lease purchase, just do a little bit more research than having to have that knee-jerk reaction that we have to spend this money now.
No, I agree. Well, look, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back, and we want to talk a little bit more about the Treasurer's Office, but also about elections and what people are looking forward to. So folks, stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break with Bernadette D'Orazio for Dona Ana County Treasurer. See you in a minute.
Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host, and my special guest is also my wife, Bernadette D'Orazio, who's running for County Treasurer, Dona Ana County Treasurer. So welcome back, Bernadette.
Thanks, Dave.
We talked a lot about your integrity, your transparency, your great ideas, but we also want to talk about elections. Now, I was at the county building on the opening day of early elections, the 6th, and it wrapped around 3 corners of the building, and we had safe social distancing. Oh, by the way, we are practicing safe social distancing in this facility at the studio, but since Bernadette and I are married and we live together, we are, I don't think we qualify for that. So, but we always take care of that. So anyway, voting is very safe. People wear masks when they go in. They have a Ziploc plastic bag with a popsicle stick in it. You can sign the registry. It's a long line because it just started. A lot of people are going in person, and I fully recommend going in person because then you don't have that worry in the back of your mind about whether or not your vote is counted and counted correctly. And mistakes can be made, but there can be corruption as well. So I suggest that you go to early voting. Now, Bernadette, you're going to tell us more about the early voting, which actually starts, I think, the 17th in the voting convenience centers. And you can, if you haven't registered yet, same-day registration occurs at these early voting centers. So I'll let you take it.
Let's take it from vote411.org.
Good point.
And vote411.org is from the League of Women Voters. And what that has is a lot of information so that you can become an informed voter. What you'll see is you'll enter your address, and then you'll be asked for your county commissioner district, and then your language. And you just click that in, and you will see what they call your voter guide. Now, my voter guide has 25 candidate races, 2 New Mexico constitutional amendments, and 3 go-bonds. So it would be great if you could read those amendments and the go-bonds before you go to the polls. The next thing you could do is go on to dacelections.com, and that will give you all of your voting locations. I don't know if I have that with me here, but for example, the voting location started at the county building, and yesterday, October 6th, Tuesday, October 6th, and then Saturday, October 17th, alternate voting locations. And I think there's about 7 of them.
There's 7, and there's 3 in Las Cruces, 1 in Anthony, 1 in Chaparral, 1 in Sunland Park, and 1 in Hatch.
Thanks, Dave. And then on election day, there used to be 40, but again, I would go to dacelections.com to make sure that all of those locations are open, because due to COVID-19, they may have some restrictions.
Yeah, I would say that absolutely get out to early vote, and with the voting convenience centers, there's no excuse for not getting out to vote. It is safe. It is practicing social distancing. There's masks have to be worn. They clean the machines between the voting. As far as I know, they clean the machine. Yes, they do. They clean the machines between the voters. So really, it's very safe to do.
Can I mention one more thing?
Certainly.
So if you can go on another website, nmvote.org, and you can actually see your ballot. Now, vote411.org will give you an explanation, biographies, bio information on the candidates, but the ballot that you're actually going to see when you go to the voting poll will be on nmvote.org. And this way, you'll see you've got a bunch of judges you have to vote for. It would either be a yes or no. Some, I think it's our district attorney in Dona Ana County. It's either yes, or you either vote for him or not, because there's no Republican candidate.
Right, so it's retaining, I believe. You retain.
Some of the judges are retained, yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that, well, let's go over the constitutional amendments and the bond issues, but as far as the judges go, if you vote not to retain a certain judge for whatever reason, then I understand that the governor can appoint judges. Now, I don't know how you feel about the governor. I'm not happy with the governor. But if I feel unhappy about a judge, then I would just say, no, I would not retain. Or, yes, I would retain. So,
Right.
can you explain about the constitutional amendments and the bond issues?
Sure. So the first one is in reference to the Public Regulation Commission, and currently that's elected by the voters to a 5-member commission. But this amendment, the governor wants to change that to be that she appoints 3 members. So that to me is a power grab.
So they reduce from a 5 to 3, and she appoints all 3.
Instead of them being elected by the
Like
people.
our governor doesn't have enough control as it is. I mean, she shut down the whole state. So, yeah, I would say no
I would
on
say
that
no
one.
to that one.
Okay.
Okay, so the constitutional amendment number 2, I'll just read this. Proposing to amend Article 20, Section 3 of the Constitution of New Mexico to permit the adjustments by law of terms of non-statewide elected officers. There's arguments for and against, and again, this is vote 411. So with all of these amendments, you're going to see
And
an
just to interject
explanation.
that 411 is produced by the League of Women Voters, a very fair, unbiased organization that I highly recommend.
So let me just read this against. This is number 3. Some incumbent office holders will gain an extra 2 years in office, while others will serve terms that expire 2 years early for reasons unrelated to their performance. Additionally, when election cycles are being synchronized, term limits will not apply to the affected offices. So, again, that's just like double speak to me.
Right.
If they get this in as an amendment, they could use it in any way they want. They could say, let's change our 2-year representatives to 4 years, our 4-year senators to 6 years. They could say, okay, well, you're in, but you're a Republican, and so we're going to cut your 4-year term to 2 years. And Democrats that are in for 4 years, well, we're going to extend your a term to 6 years.
And it could go the other way,
Who knows what
too.
they're going to do
So
with it?
it doesn't
could be
seem fair.
Definitely legitimate in terms of election cycles, but once something is law, it can be interpreted however they want, and that's the concern that I have. So I would vote no on that constitutional amendment as well.
I would as well. Yes. No, it seems like, look, you set the rules, you play by the rules, and you even set your race according to the rules. So I understand. Okay, how about the
go bonds? The go bonds are something that I did some research on, and I thought, I just voted on these go bonds 4 years ago in the 2016 election, and in fact we did. So what they deal with is senior facilities is one, libraries is another, and higher education is another. So all that these go bonds do is they just take each county and they divide up requisite money throughout the counties, throughout the state. Now, everyone would think, wouldn't you want to give money to senior centers? But I just want to let you know that whenever you hear of a go bond, and you'll see it if you go on vote411.org, they tell you that you're paying for this. So when you say yes to a go bond, you are raising your property taxes. So if you'd like to do that, fine. You can also look to the legislation that is involved with this. So I think this is Senate Bill 207, if you're so inclined to go on nmlegis.gov. And you can look up that legislation and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's hard to get through it, but each one of those bonds relates to the details that are in that legislation. And you can see by county what county is going to get how much money and what they're going to use it for.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as go bonds, and like you say, whenever you hear the word go bond, folks, think taxes, and you're going to be paying. New Mexico is the 3rd richest state in the union. And I would say that we haven't tapped into our natural resources and our minerals that we can. The government takes our money, and then he gives it back piecemeal to us and tells us, well, this is the best we can do. I don't think so. I think we have money. It's just mismanaged. And that's why it's so important to have a county treasurer that is, I'm not saying Eric is not fair and honest. I believe Eric is. But I think Bernadette has a leg up in handling money better. And it's got to start locally. So it'll start in the city, start in the county, the state will expand. When I get into the Senate, I'm going to ruffle some feathers up there, I'll tell you that. So it's all about being a good steward of your money. And I know Bernadette will do that. So the go bonds. To me, this is just more mismanagement of money. Just keep throwing money at it. That's a democratic way, is throw money at it and it'll fix it. Well, it didn't happen in our education system. We are the worst state in the union in education. And the fellow that I'm running against has been the top legislator in the state for 8 years. Vice chairman, now the chairman for his full term in office, and we're the worst state in the union. And they just keep throwing money at it and say, yeah, we're going to take care of kids probably when they're born. It's like, no. Let's help the parents so the parents can take care of the kids, get them ready for school, and then give the parents school choice. That's going to come, hopefully soon as I get in the legislature. So, okay. So voting is convenient. It's safe.
Oh, and let's mention that you, I think it's October, I wish I had the date, the 17th or the 20th for the last day for absentee ballots. Does it say here?
Okay, yeah.
Dear, let's see. Early voting, absentee.
Absentee ballots,
Deadline to apply is October 20th for your absentee ballot.
Okay. I've heard some people saying, I got multiple letters from people asking me to do absentee ballot. Now, I don't know what's going on. There's a bit of corruption going on, I believe, that everybody wants you to vote absentee. But when you vote absentee, there's a chance of corruption because every time that ballot changes hands, there's a chance that it can be lost, it could be destroyed, it could be gotten rid of. I used to work for the post office, and they're not all angels that work at the post office. If you have a Democrat or a Republican that's working in the post office that doesn't want that ballot to get to its end point to make it count, you got a problem, folks, and they've been finding corruption throughout the nation. So, and I know in our last election when Yvette Hurl was running against our current CD2 elected official, there was 8,000 ballots found, mysteriously, in 2 separate incidences. So go vote in person. Okay, so we're just about ready to wrap up the show. Bernadette, would you like to say anything else? I mean, I'm voting for you. I hope you'll vote for her.
I'll just make a plug for my website.
Okay.
It's burnfordact.com. And you'll
Okay.
find out some more information. There's a voting tab. There's also what a treasurer does and how it impacts you. So just check it out, and you can contact me if you have any other questions.
Well, as much as I'm running for election, I also want to bring in other candidates, fellow candidates too. So I think next week it's either going to be Dawn Ladd or Chuck Wendler or Brandy Polanco, but one of the 3. So folks, tune in next week. I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you vote for Bernadette and me. Bernadette D'Orazio for Dona Ana County Treasurer, Dave Gallus for NM Senate District 37. I'll see you next week, and thank you again, Bernadette.
Thanks, Dave.